welcome on the stage my friends Fábio Palma, André Vargas, and Fabio Donatelli. Thank you.
Thank you for being here to these amazing discussions that will happen today. I'm Fábio Palma, I'm CEO of OneFan. OneFan is a fun tech that, not a fintech, but also a fintech. We work with fan engagement for major clubs in Brazil like São Paulo, Flamengo, Corinthians, and some other clubs outside Brazil like Osasuna in La Liga. We are here today to discuss a lot about fan engagement and growth, revenue, and I'm here with my friends Fabio and Andres also. Thank you for being here today. I think the idea here is to have a great conversation, not necessarily a discussion with themes and talking about these possibilities that we have in football today and different revenue streams that we have today that we didn't have to past years. Like 30 years ago, we were discussing about TV, about the jersey, how to earn and have revenue stream with this. Today, you have a lot of different ways to talk to the fans and engage them to create different possibilities like NFTs, metaverse, and I'm not discussing just these cutting edge technologies, but also we have different ways with social media and different experience. What do you guys think about this? Of course, if you can present yourselves to the crowd. How do you see these different new revenue streams that we have in sports right now?
Hey, thanks, Fabio. My name is also Fabio Donatelli. I work for Red Bull Bragantino. I'm the head of commercial. So in Red Bull Bragantino, we have some revenue streams attached to sponsors, to membership, ticketing, and also the sales of products, right? And right now, we have some colleagues that work together with us and some other companies also that work especially on the membership program. There are very innovative and that we are trying to do things differently. I think that today all the clubs are running into the same direction, right? Which is the direction of gathering all the data that they have from all the different platforms, right? So they have the membership, they have the sales of ticketing, they have the sales of products, they have the bars inside the stadium where also the consumer and the fans can buy stuff, and they are trying to unite all this data so they can understand a little bit better the fan, and they can propose in the campaigns to maximize the investment, right? So I think for me and what we are looking for at Red Bull Bragantino right now is to try to reunite, right? We know we are not a very big club compared to others in Brazil, but at the same time, if we have all the data from our fan base, then we can provide to our sponsors and to our fans the best deals that we can have.
That's great. And you, Andres, looking this point of view, both you guys work for, of course, Bragantino is a Brazilian football club, but it's a club from Red Bull, and you work for Bayern Munich, looking Latin America. How do you see this in revenue streams new revenue streams ways to develop in a country like Brazil, or you were talking earlier about Colombia and other places down here and even US?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure for me to be here. Thanks, NYU, for the invite. I am a proud alumni of the program. So for me, being in Brazil in an NYU event, speaking about sports means a lot. I've been working with FC Bayern for the last 6 years and a half. I'm originally a lawyer, so I kind of did a shift in my career. And now I oversee the whole business development of FC Bayern in the Americas. So it's not only Latin America, but also the US. We have 3 focus markets, which are the US, Mexico, and Brazil. And to your question, so I think nowadays sports properties are no longer local sports properties. We kind of understood that, and 10 years ago we opened our first international office. And even though we are a club that is deeply rooted in not only in Germany but in Bavaria, like it's very local, we are also a global property. And understanding that brings a lot of opportunities and challenges. We have two challenges that are very hard, which are the idiomatic and the cultural barriers that some other teams don't have. But the globalization and the technology and the digitalization brings a lot of opportunities, as we were discussing before. It's not unfamiliar for a kid to see FC Bayern crest since they are 4 years old. Like that 20 years ago, 30 years ago was unthinkable. So that allows sports properties to be very much global. And with that globalization and technology, we have different opportunities. For example, we right now have the technology to do overlay LEDs. What that means is we can have local sponsors in different countries or in different regions that are not necessarily seen in Munich in the feed, for example. And for example, the feed that I think it's, I don't know which is the broadcaster right now here, but the feed that you guys see here from FC Bayern at a Bundesliga game, it's definitely not the same that it's in Munich. For example, Allianz, which is one of our main partners and shareholders, have a lot of minutes here. So you can see a lot of Allianz. That doesn't happen in Munich, or happen a little less. So basically, technology has allowed us to mine assets, exponentiate the same assets, and get revenue from different parts of the world, because we're able to be very local with geolocalization or with these technologies that allow us to show something in some place that is not necessarily what we're showing in Munich.
When you talk about using technology to grow new fans all over the world, it's very interesting, because when you are talking about this in Europe, it's very clear. When you walk around Brazil, you see a lot of football schools for kids, like PSG football clubs. Like I used to say that I learned football na Escolinha do Rivelino. It was from Rivelino, from Corinthians and Brazilian team. And this is crazy, because today it's maybe for a kid it's easier to cheer for a foreigner club than for a Brazilian club. If this kid doesn't go to the stadium, to the arena here, it's far from the houses. And take a look at Flamengo. We have different fans all over Brazil. They don't go to see Flamengo in Rio. But today, 30 years ago, it was very complicated to see a European club on TV. But nowadays, we have different technologies for this. Like in one fan, we have, you are saying about overlay, we have a technology for our clubs that they can broadcast the game, and you can use this in a group, a small group, so you bring your own friends to watch the game with you, and you can talk, and you don't need to use the narrator, the original narrator, so you can be the narrator yourself for the game. And if you are good, you can use this for more fans to attach with you, and you can monetize this. And this is crazy because how far can we go when you are in a Red Bull team, and Red Bull it's amazing because it's a company that work a lot with sports. And how do you see these opportunities using technology to engage your fan, not only for the next years, but the next decades, that the technologies that we don't even know that exists yet?
No, it is, it is amazing, right? Talking about an MCO like we are, for example, we can make a pitch for Leipzig games, for example, for the overlay, right? So we can be the commercial team for Leipzig here, because when there's a Bundesliga game and Leipzig wants to sell the LED boards around the stadium, we can do it with a Brazilian company, knowing that this will be broadcasted into the Brazilian market, right? So this is something that we have tried. We haven't get it yet, but we can do it. So this is kind of like amazing, right? You can have a club in Germany that has a broader club in Brazil, and we can do the sales for them for new sponsorships. Awesome. So, and for Red Bull, for the club here in Brazil, what we are trying to do, using technology, is that we are creating a rewards program, right? So in this rewards program in Bragança Paulista and the city and the region, we have around 120 partners today, from supermarkets to gas stations to gyms, where every member gets a discount or an advantage, right? And by using those the products of those partners, they are receiving points for this, and they can, with those points, they can have rewards, right? So this one thing that we are using technology, because all of this is online, is digital, and we are trying to create the engagement with the city, right? And we are showing them, if you are a member and you are paying 50 reais a month, but you are getting 100 reais a month in discounts. And also, you are receiving points that you can turn into new experience. And so in this month, we are taking our members to New York. We have the New York Red Bulls, another brother of our club. And we are taking 6 members to watch the game in New York together with them. So this is kind of an experience that we can provide to them. It's all digital. It's not easy to do something digital in a city in the countryside of Brazil. Not everybody gets it. But those are the things that we are doing. The same thing for Formula One. Red Bull is also a Formula One scuderia. And we are taking our fans to the Formula One together. Also, we are going to present with 8,000 points. You can get a ticket for the Formula One, and we take them in a bus to the Formula One to watch. So this is the kind of thing that we are doing in the countryside. When we got to Bragança Paulista in 2019, there was only 3% of the sales of ticketing that was online. Today, it's around 80. Between membership, that you just do the check-in, and you buy online, it's 80%. So in 5 years, and especially with pandemic come, we changed this, and although still there are some people that wants to go to the box office and wants to buy their ticket with cash, the number is getting smaller and smaller. So we are turning this into probably online only in the next few years.
That's amazing, because when you talk about experiences, it's easy to understand when you were talking about football, and go to the stadium is, I think, one of the biggest experiences that you can have. But of course, you can see your team training, you can see your team preparing to enter on the field. Those are experiences that memberships can open and create this amazing cashless experience, I was saying that way. But when you look in the point of view of Bayern, it's physically far from Brazil, from US. How do you create different experiences for those fans that that loves Bayern here in Brazil or in Colombia or in Mexico. How do you manage to create this deep experience in a digital way?
So for us, and this is very authentic from the German football, which I think actually is kind of similar in here, in Brazil, and in Argentina. Fans are a very important part of our club. We have the most amount of members of any club in the world, and those are people who pay their membership, right? But anyways, we still have a lot of fans across the world. And since many years ago, we started a fan club program in which if you have 10 more people, you can enroll officially to be a fan club, official fan club of FC Bayern in any part of the world. For example, in Brazil, I think that we have 5. In the US, we have more than 50. In Mexico, we have 3. And in every single country, we have fan clubs. And though, like, each fan club has a chairman, and that chairman is the actual point of contact between his community and the team. And with them, we do a lot of activations. For example, when Bundesliga does any viewing party here, then we invite our fan clubs in Brazil. But for example, when we brought the team to the US, we did a viewing party, and the idea was to come as a club with our trophies to the place where our fan clubs gather. So we basically brought all the trophies to the normal bar in different cities, normally were the cities where we were playing. And around the tours, for example, we had a fan boat trip in Miami with our legends. We have many initiatives to engage them. Obviously, for them, FC Bayern means something different from what it means from a local fan. But however, as you were mentioning before, right now access is unlimited, and one of the things that we have been trying to do with our internationalization process is understand what FC Bayern means for different people. For example, in the US, we have a huge community. It's called the Red Ladies, and it's like 3 or 4 fan clubs of only women. And they gather, each year, for example, I don't know, you can't imagine how much impact a club can have, and how it can be a point of contact between a lot of people that probably are alone and want to be together. So for us, they are very important. We engage with them very much. And for us, we try to use them also as an asset, obviously, because that gives us exposure. But we always try to get them the best experience possible, understanding that we as an international office are the point of contact from a club that is very, very far away.
Did you see the bar in LA with the Manchester United? That seems that you are really close to. It seems like you are in the Old Trafford. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, this is one of the things that how a club to have something like that. For the experience of the fans, it's pretty much amazing, right?
Manchester United, it's a crazy example for us, because we are talking about a club that has they are based on a city with, I would say, 500,000 people. In Great Manchester, we are talking about 2 million people, and they have like 500 million fans. So this is the case of a club that understood how to manage and to create experience all around the world, and not necessarily correlated to being on stadium, being on the match day. And this is something that I want to explore with you guys, because in One Fan we discuss a lot the journey of the fan. that's not necessarily about watching the game, the match day. They belong to something. They are part of a group, and this is, of course, not necessarily about the match day. The match day is important. It's the most important day, of course, on this journey. But there are also a lot of different moments on this journey, and I want to explore this with you guys. How do you manage, Fabio, for example, to engage the fans, not only in Bragança, but during all this journey with the team?
Well, I think first the social media is pretty important, right? Everything starts online. So for example, now in Bragança, we have a Red Bull Bragantino house where there is a huge lot of experience in it. It's not a very big house, but it's kind of like what the countries does when they have the Olympics, and they have, it's kind of like a minor stuff like that, but it's focused on events, right? But for you to call people to go there and to visit, you got to start digitally. You got to start by showing people what the experience that they can have, right? And then turn this into an event where you can invite some other people, right? Another thing that we are doing there is we are planning to build a new stadium. Right? We are planning to build Red Bull Arena in Bragança Paulista for 20,000 people, finally. And we understand that the stadium that exists there nowadays, the Nabizão, is one of the main things of the city, right? It's one of the main points of the city. And we cannot just, put it down and build just the Red Bull Arena. So we are thinking about digitalizing the Nabizão and creating a 3D tour into the Nabizão. So all the people in Bragança will always remember and will have something, if they want to show to their kids, if they want to show to somebody else. This is going to be also a new attraction. It's going to be digitally. It's one thing that we can use also to engage the fans, to create. Imagine if Palmeiras had something like this for the old Parque Antártica, the same thing for Grêmio, right? With the Olímpico, and you could go there and enter, and make a tour and see how it was, and even for the new generations to understand. The club now is like this, but look, it has not been like this during all this time, right? The passion comes from this side, from this stadium. That's where, so it's something that you can transmit from the parents, that passion, to their kids also.
That's amazing, because it's the story of the club is part of the city, and it's cultural. It's belonging, not only belonging to the city, but also belonging to the club, being part of it.
And we are from the outside, right? We are not from Bragança. Red Bull is an Austrian company, and not everybody was happy that we changed the colors of the club. So everything that we can do to keep them closer, their mascot used to be a lion. Now there is the bull. And everything that we can do to make them closer to us and feel that we respect the past of the club. The club is 96 years old, and we have been there for 5. So we got to respect the history that came before us, that allowed us to be there today.
And this is, I think this is interesting, because we were talking backstage earlier about football is a sport that has like 150 years old, and it needs to change every day to be more interesting, because at the end, right now, we are talking about share of attention. If you are talking about this 30 years ago, people will say, okay, what I have to do on a Sunday? I will go to the stadium with my family or alone or whatever, but we have a lot of different opportunities today as that are competing for our attention, like social media, games. I used to say that a person on a bus with 70 years old playing Candy Crush, it's a gamer, and people don't realize this, and people are stopping to at the same time. They are watching less sports that like we are used to watch, uh, they are cheering in a different ways and in a more fanatic way. It's interesting because football is changing, and this is something important when you are talking about new ways of streaming for foreigner countries like Brazil, in your point of view, Andres. Because Bayern, of course, like you said, it's a team from a small region in Germany, and it's different when we are talking about streaming this to all over the world.
I mean, I think that sports properties are enterprises, huge enterprises, and I think, as you said, um, sorry, companies no longer, or sports companies no longer have to think that the other teams are the only competitors. Netflix is our competitor. That's the truth. And in that sense, social media platforms, digitalization, give us a great opportunity to connect directly. And that means we can have a message that is more targeted to the different audiences across the world. And we are also owners of our own storytelling. In terms of rights, it's a little challenging because, for example, Bundesliga own our rights, and then we have some restrictions in showing highlights. Same with Champions Leagues, like in Champions League, they even have different partners. But with our own channels, for example, our YouTube channel is a channel that is more targeted to things that are outside sports. So we try to tell different stories, like, for example, a point of view video of US fan going to Germany, or a small video of our of what happened to Bayern during the National Socialism. So it's a channel that is more targeted to the way of living of FC Bayern, which I think it's also a new way of consuming. You can also see our jerseys right now. So Adidas is putting a lot of effort in having a streetwear collection, an Oktoberfest collection, vintage collection. Our colors are a little more attractive. Last year, for example, our away jersey was black, and the lines here were purple, and the lines here were green. And any of those colors are in our crest, and it's been challenging. Like German media has been on top of it, and not in a positive way. But the answer of the club and the answer of Adidas is we are no longer a local company, we are a global company, and in that sense, we also need to answer to the trends, react to the trends, and try to impose new trends. So that's why I think that we shouldn't be thinking of sports companies only as sports companies. It's enterprises. Enterprises with media channels, with direct ways of communication with their audiences, companies that can impose trends in many ways. But for example, in terms of Red Bull, they are doing an amazing job. They are a company that basically sells a cool way of living, and now they've invested also into sports, and they are expanding, and they have multi-ownership. And at the end, the main product was an energy drink, but they are very much over that. So I think that sports properties and the whole entertainment ecosystem has changed to be more global, more broad, and that for sure will help in terms of revenue, because you're no longer thinking as sport as a product, but as a vehicle to all the other ecosystem.
I think this is amazing because when you look 10 years ago, you used to say social media and imagine social media in a place that we exchange with our families and friends and everything else. And today, it's clear for us that those platforms, they become places when we show, when you use companies and people use this place to talk to the crowd and to show what they are doing. not necessarily to talk to the families or the friends. And this is a huge difference, because when you use social media to talk to your fans, you are basically not the owner of the data, because we are talking about Meta, TikTok, and great major companies that run all those systems. This is the intermediary between you and your fan when you're talking about a club. When you see our proprietary ecosystem to a club, and of course looking in the Red Bull points of view, of course you have a lot of data. I would say probably billions of data points about the fans. How do you use this to create a more personalized way to talk to those people today, that's different from the 70s when you have a TV broadcast, a radio broadcast? How do you manage to use this today to talk in a personalized way with someone?
Today in Red Bull, we are trying to create our data lake, right? And together with that, once we can unite all the bases, the next step is to start reading the data, right? And having a business intelligence and maybe using artificial intelligence to help us read this. You said there are billions of data, right? So sometimes it is impossible for a human being. You can have some kind of insights, but at the same time, maybe you're going to miss more than you are getting it right. So the next step is to learn how to read those data, right? And with this reading, then you can understand the pattern of your fans, how they do it. And especially there in Red Bull, since we have the 120 partners that we have, you can understand he does his shopping, where he buys his car, which gym he goes to. So all the campaigns could be more individualized, right, for each one. And also the way you communicate, right? Because some people, they have an email, but they don't look at their email, right? At the same time, most people answer to WhatsApp or maybe to SMS. And, those are different campaigns that you really need to start creating, right? And this is something that we have to look for. And also, of course, the digital part of it, especially in the places that we have, in the Red Bull house, in the stadium, the Wi-Fi has to be so good there. And I think today, for example, in Brazil, we lack this, in a lot of these stadiums. There are stadiums already in South America, especially in Argentina, like La Bombonera, that we know that the Wi-Fi is awesome, right? So everything gets registered all the time, and all your fans are registered in your Wi-Fi, right? So you have 50,000 people every Sunday registering there, although most of them are the same, but in the end of the year, you have 500,000 people registering there. So it's pretty important that you get all this data, and especially that you have your opportunity, on your places when you own the place, since you don't own the social media, but once you own the place, you need to create a space where people, you can read the data
from your invite them.
Exactly. You need to invite them to register and for them to understand that this will be good for them, that you're going to be offering not what you want, but what they want, Since you are shopping in the supermarket, hey, look, there's a promotion there. I can give you 100 reais discount for this next shopping you are going to do. So those things will be pretty important to keep the fans engaged in the future.
And you know that at least into one fan, we have a number that 79% of the fans allows the system, one of our technologies is the app, allows the system to track them, because it's totally different from other industries, because they are part of the club, they belong. So this is very, very interesting, because it's a different relationship. They want the club to know about them, because they want to talk to the club. They want to, and this is, I think, of course, when you talk about Red Bull Bragantino, you are in a city that people already love the club. But how challenging is this to Bayern in Americas to create this belonging?
It's very challenging, but that's the reason why we are there, because we need to do things differently. I mean, for Real Madrid and Barcelona engaging with South America, it's very easy. For the Premier League teams engaging in the US, it's very simple. Actually, they don't need to do anything else because in terms of the language, like they have it. So then the users of America consume the product directly. That doesn't happen with us. But data plays a huge part. With data, we know that the three markets with more following are Brazil, Mexico, and the US. So data helped us to make an informed decision on where shall we be next to serve our fans, right? And then with that data, we've been able to create or to understand and learn more about our fans. So right now we know if they're using a second screen, what age they have, what are their consumer habits, if they bet. So, and thanks to many softwares that we use Nielsen, we use I forgot the name of the other one, Global Web Index, we use YouGov, and with all this info, we just do a business intelligence analysis on what is relevant for us and how can that help us with informed decisions. Also, data has helped us to understand exactly what is the value of our rights internationally. So, for example, if we're looking to do a regional partnership, we now are in capacity of telling a company, you will have this exposure, or the right that we are giving to you can have this media value. And then with that, we are more competitive regionally. So basically, we take the info that we have from our fans and we create accurate propositions or proposals, and then ideally we close partnerships. And then companies right now are looking for their ROI. They're always looking to get a return of investment that is even like 2x, 3x, 4x of what they're investing. And now with data, we're capable of telling, hey, if you, for example, are on a cam carpet that is overlaid, then that cam carpet, because of the exposure, the number of minutes of the broadcast, will have a media value of 1 million euros in the whole season. And if you're paying 200,000, that already is 5 times your investment. So that's the way in which data has helped us, and how business conversations are now driven. It's all through data. But coming back to your question, I'm sorry, I just deviated a little. It's challenging for us, definitely, but there's one thing that we have that other teams don't have, and it's like they respect our brand very much. Not necessarily people engage very much with our brand, but there's a lot of awareness. So the first step is already done. Then it's up to us in trying to do things out of the box to get them. For example, last year we did an exhibition in the Holocaust Museum in Mexico to tell the story about what happened with the club during the National Socialism. Because the common thinking in Americas is that we are a Nazi team, and actually it's all the other way around. So we need to tell the story, and we just partner with the Holocaust Museum in Mexico to try to tell that story. So it's challenging, but for us represent a very good opportunity to do things a different way, because we need to. That's the way we need to get attention, to get all the data, to be attractive for regional partners, and then to be successful commercially and in all the other parts of the internationalization process.
Thank you. We are getting at the end of our time, but I have a last question that I want to explore with you guys. We are talking about revenue through innovation and growing revenue through innovation. Football is, like I said, a sport that has like 150 years, so it's a new sport. And we see football in a way that is a status quo. It's impossible to change. Everyone loves football all over the world. So, but when you do a deep dive in other sports like baseball, the share of attention, the slowness of the game, it's getting a big issue for the clubs, because of course people don't want to see a match of 4 hours, 5 hours anymore, because they want to do any other stuff. When we look football, of course, people loves it, but how do you guys imagine football in the next 10 or 20 years, creating new revenue streams, creating new opportunities, and creating new ways of fan engagement? Because at least in my point of view, we are, of course, we call one fan, but we are talking about fans. The clubs only exist because they have fans. And how do you guys see the next 10 or 20 years for football and for your clubs?
Well, I think that but this is only my personal opinion, so don't quote me on this, please. I think that international organizations are making a huge mistake in expanding the number of games and the recurrency of tournaments. There's going to be a point where the market will just oversaturate, and then the spare of attention will be low, 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 low. I'm not so sure that more games, more teams, longer tournaments is the answer of the involvement of football. Actually, I think it's all the other way around. That's how NFL went up in the US. NFL is based on scarcity. You have 17 games in the year in a period, and that's it. And you've seen how that has made everything go to the roof. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I think that if we keep saturating the market where you have to follow your national team, your home team, your European team, the Club World Cup, then the Champions League, it's going to be too much at some point, and new generations will not react well to that. So I think that we need to find ways, hopefully in the next 10 years, to make our product a little more premium, let's say, and also preserve our product, and our product are athletes. And like sad athletes used as circus animals will not do it, and that will not be interesting for the audiences, because now audiences are engaging and consuming in ways in which they can relate with either the athletes or the teams. So I think that there's going to be a change at some point. I don't know what is, but I'm thinking that there's going to be a big change in the next 10 years.
Great.
And for me, I would go to the change in the experience, right? I think that everything starts and ends with the game, right? So everything that you do online or that you do is to call the people to watch the game, especially if you are in the stadiums, right? And we know that in Brazil, we still lack a lot of this experience, right? The NFL is coming to Brazil on Friday, and everybody's all excited. There's going to be the national anthem song in a different way. There's going to be a halftime show like we have never seen before. And those guys are bringing this, and maybe we can learn something from them, right? You go to the Champions League and you watch a game on the Champions League is not the same thing as you watch a game in the Brazilian championship. So usually it's the Brazilian clubs for a long time, they left everything because they already had fans, right? The fans were there. So they didn't have to treat them well, or they didn't have to do anything else, and the fan would be there, right? But I think that after the World Cup, treating the fan better in the sales of ticketing, including facial recognition, and also changing all the stadiums we had from World Cup to today, 15 stadiums probably refurbished or built new. And this brings it already a different kind of experience, right? And especially on the premium seats and VIP areas and things that money can't buy sometimes, you can give this to the fans, right? So these kind of experiences that we can import from Europe and from the US, I think will be key, because once one fan that you have, he goes to the stadium once, you know, and he has a great experience, he'll be your fan all the time. He may not go back to the stadium for some reason, but he's still buying products, he's still gonna follow you digitally. So if you can make people come to your stadium, understand your culture, have a great experience that they will remember forever, I think that this is what you were looking for.
That's amazing. Amazing point of view for you both. And thank you everyone for being here today. And thank you for the panelists for those thoughtful ideas and insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.